project is titled What's for Lunch, and we're going to be looking at fake fruit or pictures of fruit in order to create a really simple still life. We're only going to draw one piece of fruit. And it's sort of going to look like this with a little bit of a horizon line in the background, and that's all. We're going to keep it very simple. What you're going to want to do is set your piece of fruit off to the side so you can see it, or if you're going to work from a picture, just put that next to you so that you can see that. We are going to be working with chalk pastels. If you've ever worked with these before, you know they are incredibly messy. A couple things to keep in mind. Do not blow any dust around that you may get. And if you're going to tap the dust off of your paper, please do it over a trash can. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and draw my pear. And I want to draw it as big as possible on the paper. And I'm just kind of sketching it in. And it might be a good idea to use a really light color first. Even if your object isn't yellow, you might want to use yellow because it's easy to cover up. I'm going to go ahead and draw my horizon line in the back. Go ahead and put on my stem. And I'm just kind of looking where my shadow is. And I'm going to go ahead and draw that too. I also have a cast shadow on the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that. And hopefully you can kind of see where I'm going with this. Okay, so then I'm going to start adding my color. And I want to do my background first. That way I can do the pear over the top of that a little more easily. And I'm going to choose a cool color for my background. That'll make my pear really pop out. I'm using the pastel on its side. Like that. And I'm going to use my fingers, and I'm going to go in a circular motion to sort of blend that together. You could, of course, practice this on practice paper first before you go onto the good paper. Totally up to you. We're not putting a super thick coat of pastel in the background. And again, I'm just using the side, so I want it to be pretty light for the background. We want the pear, or the piece of fruit, to be the highlight of this show. Your fingers are going to get pretty dirty. You may want to wash them in between your background and your actual piece of fruit. Notice that I left the shadow part for later. Okay, now for the actual pear. My pear has some orange up here. And I do want this to be a little heavier than the background was. I want it to pop out more. Now at this point, I'm going to start adding some shadows that I see that I've missed. And I'm using the orange for my shadows. If I were to use a black, it would blend really ugly. Now, technically, my light is coming from up here, but I do see a little shadow right along that edge. Okay, for my darkest shadow down here, if I were to use black, I think that would be too strong. So I'm going to go ahead and use a nice dark green. We'll see how that works. And this is the cast shadow. This is the shadow that the fruit makes on whatever it's sitting on. And this should be very dark. It should be the darkest thing on the page. And voila, I have a piece of fruit that looks like it's popping up from the background. I could, of course, go ahead and even go a little bit darker. If I had a little bit of red, maybe would be good. My pear has some spots on it. I could go ahead and put those on. That might make it look a little more exciting. When you're finished with these, be sure that you've got your name down in the bottom right hand corner. Make it super legible. If you need to write it with pencil, that's fine. Putting your hour on there does help. 7th hour. Pretty simple. And I need to take this to the trash can, tap that off. You're going to put these on the drying rack so that I can spray them with hairspray and make them permanent. All the supplies for this project will be passed out by your fellow classmates.